Hi, my name is Marie-Sophie von Bibra. I'm head of growth at Readly and founder of a digital marketing consulting firm. My family is half American, a bit Italian, and also German. So this last year, we have not seen a lot of family. We have stayed at home in Munich. And I think we very much feel how much we're missing the people that we really love. Corona for me really started on the 12th of March, 2020. That was the day that I remember the most because it was the day when Germany announced the first lockdown. It was the last day I was in the office. We usually have an office for like 12 people here in Berlin that I usually go to every day. And now since that Thursday in March, I have been working at home and I haven't really seen any of my colleagues or friends for that matter. And I think now that we're in the second lockdown, I feel it even more because it's now such a long time that I actually haven't seen most people. For me, Corona has been very emotional, and I think it's kind of been an emotional roller coaster, I would say. It's a mix of anger, frustration, sadness to an extent, and then also, of course, worry, gratitude, reflection. And I think a lot of that is actually related to my own life and maybe the people that I see around me, but also what just happens in the world and some of the topics that are just like ongoing and happening. For me, the most overwhelming feeling actually since last year and this entire time has been how much I miss seeing people and my favorite people, because I miss seeing them, I miss spending time with them, I miss being physically close to them and just being able to hug them. And I think what we usually take for granted is that those small moments when you meet up and go for a walk or go for a coffee or a dinner, that's actually the moments we take for granted, but that end up becoming like the favorite memories and actually all the most precious moments we spend together. So I miss that feeling and how easy it used to be that we just kind of did that. The pace of my life is what has changed the most for me, probably also for the better, because I think the life I had before was definitely also unhealthy for some parts. I used to be one of the people who I was flying every week for work. I didn't take a lot of care of my health necessarily, and I was always kind of going from one thing to the next. And Corona has forced me to, of course, stay in one place. I've been in Berlin now for the biggest part of last year. The only travel I have done is to go and see my family who luckily lives in Munich. So I've been able to just drive there and see them. But it has been a change where I have been forced to slow down. I have been forced to reconsider a lot of things. What is most important to me? What do I need to spend my time in? Also to think about, why do I want to travel? What is it that makes travel the most important thing? And I really miss it. But I think it has fundamentally changed for me how I think about business travel, for example, and when do I want to do it and what do I want to do? And to also reconsider just the things in our life that we have, work, and what kind of work do you do and why is it important and why do you think it matters? So it's definitely been a year of reflection, and I have tried to make it meaningful for me by thinking about these things and by thinking of my contribution and kind of what I'm able to do and what I want this year to mean, but also after this. I don't want to forget the things that changed this year for me. And I hope that many of us won't forget, but will take some learnings and lessons out of this. I really hope we can make it matter. From a work perspective, it's also been interesting because for Readly, which we are a digital subscription business. So for us, many customers have actually come to us, and it's a platform where you can read more than 5,000 magazines in one app. And of course, a lot of people have had a lot of time to read. So we have been one of the businesses that were able to grow. Our team has grown. We have onboarded a lot of people that we never met in person. We interviewed them on Zoom, and we met them on Zoom, and we've onboarded them on Zoom. And now we've been working for almost a year with colleagues we've never personally met. and that are now a part of the team. And I think it's taken a great effort, but it was also a huge change, of course, for everything. In my other role, I work a lot with female-founded small businesses, many of which have a physical store, and they were all forced to shut down in the first lockdown already. So what we did there is to look at projects that were previously taking months to set up, suddenly had to be done within a few days, setting up an online shop and creating social media presences or sending newsletters. All these things suddenly mattered so much because we had to find new ways to connect them to their customers. And I think that's actually one of the biggest topics for me, this feeling of connection, whether it's in business or personally to each other, how we feel connected to each other and how we can connect to each other has been so different. And I'm wondering what will remain of that. Will this really change the way we work fundamentally forever? Will home office now just be a new reality? I don't know what the answer to that is, but I'm curious to find out what that will look like. And I think the other kind of most important topic has been to really stay close to people, even though we weren't able to physically meet. So I've spent probably 8 to 9 hours every day on Zoom or other video calls, which is also exhausting in a very weird way. You just sit there, but you're on camera and you're exhausted, even though you haven't really done much. But it's been so important for me. And at the same time, it has made me miss people even more, because you look at someone and you look at their eyes and they tell you a certain story. And what I've started doing is to really ask much more about how are you really doing? We need to really care for each other. So I have stopped to just, small talk isn't just small talk anymore. It actually matters that at the beginning of a work call, you share a little bit about your private life and how you're feeling that week, because it's just crazy what we're all going through. So sharing that actually makes it an experience that we can then carry together rather than all being alone with this. And I think in general, the crisis has been a really important reminder for me about how we all have influence on the people around us. So it actually matters what we do, and it matters how we do it, and it matters kind of what we say. And I think it's actually such a privilege to be able to care for each other in this way. The fact that we're able to care so much for each other, that we look out for each other, is a privilege and a gift. So something that has made me really angry is when I see people being so selfish because we can't travel or we can't do this and this. And it has made me angry because it's something we should be proud of, that we can actually care for each other and help each other through this time, rather than just thinking of some of the things that have been taken away from us when some people have actually lost loved ones, which is a pain that no one should go through. So I hope that that will actually be something we take forward, that we remember that regardless of the topic, we have an influence on the people around us and our actions actually matter. So yes, wearing a mask might not be the most comfortable thing, but it actually helps us save or protect other people. And that is what our lives are based on. We want to share our lives with other people. And I've been reminded many times this year that that's probably what I care about most. So wearing a mask to protect others, I think, is a privilege, and not something that I don't do because I feel it's uncomfortable to go to the store. And I think there's also been so many other topics this year that have become so loud. And actually that gives me a lot of hope for the time after Corona and also for this year. Because if you look at it's the crisis and what that means, it's the Black Lives Matter movement, it's the role of women, it's the environment and all these different topics. And the fact that everything kind of just came up so loud this year, it gives me hope, because I think we have a unique opportunity with this to actually take what we have learned in the crisis, which is we've all been confined to our homes and we had to look out for each other, to actually, and we have this influence on each other, to actually then use this for all the topics that are coming our way, because there is so much more. So I really hope that we don't just forget and move on, but that we actually use this as an opportunity, almost basically to create a better world for all of us. That's kind of, I feel, the opportunity we've been given. And what I look most forward to is to see the people I love again, to be able to hug them and be close to them, and to do it in a way that feels safe, where we don't have to worry. And to not take that for granted ever again. Not health, not our loved ones, not the time we spend together, but to really make it count, even if it's just a walk or a coffee, which is the only things I've been doing recently with loved ones. And I've thought about this a lot in regards to what is the message that I would send to people now, and maybe also a little bit to the future. And I think it really is that our actions matter. And whether that is looking out for our neighbors or talking about a subject and actually educating each other, I think we all have voices that are heard by people around us. And I've realized this year when I was speaking to friends or colleagues about their personal struggles, how it is to suddenly have your children at home and how difficult it is to combine work with that, and how it is if you suddenly can't see your families anymore because they live in another country and you haven't seen them now for a year and a half. All these things are actually stories that we should share with each other, because it makes us feel less alone, and it actually makes us feel like it's also okay to talk about the things that aren't going as well, and that's important. So I think the message for people now that I would have is our voices matter, our actions matter, and that should be something that we are proud of. And when we become aware of that, we actually realize how much we can achieve if we realize that influence. So I hope that from the crisis, we're understanding that what we do matters for ourselves, but it also matters for others. And that should be a positive thing and something we're proud of, and not something that makes us that just makes us resentful of each other. That's the wrong way to go.